Welcome to Two Woke Bonnets, a podcast where we revisit the classic TV shows of our Gen X childhoods and see how well they hold up today. With your hosts, Carol and Joey.
Hello and welcome. Welcome back to Walnut Grove. Welcome to the Prairie. My name is Carol.
I'm Joey.
And we are Two Woke Bonnets. We are rewatching Little House on the Prairie and going through it episode by episode and kind of seeing if it holds up in today's climate. So we're on season 2, episode 2, which is called Four Eyes.
Yes.
And boy, the episode
Classic.
title was used a lot during this episode. So
Yeah, definitely have to add that as a bingo card option. Speaking of which, I'm on bingo card 29. Which one did you use this time?
I used bingo card
That was like a Gregorian chant.
11.
Card. That was awesome.
I used bingo card 11.
Did you get bingo?
No.
I also did not get bingo, but I had several times where I had 3 in a row.
Yeah. So this is a Mary-centric episode, although Laura's there for quite a bit of it, but
Yeah.
it's report card day in Walnut Grove, and Nellie's jubilant because she got the best grades in school, and that's because Mary's been doing kind of poorly in school recently. And it could be because she had to work full time to get her family out of debt for a while there, but no,
Which they
that's
do
not it.
talk about. They do mention that she's
They
been
do.
working hard doing that. But
They
and
Yeah.
she tries to stay up late and she tries to study extra. And Laura is a very good little sister this episode.
Yeah,
Tries to make Laura
making
feel
excuses.
better. She makes excuses. She offers to do chores to cover so that Mary can have more time to study.
And there's a big history exam coming up with that includes like a certificate prize for the person who wins it. So
Not a book like last time. Gee,
no, not a book like last
Willikers.
time.
Yeah.
So they probably sold that book when they needed to pay down the mercantile. Anyway. But Mary doesn't get good grades. And at first it's like, how far has she fallen off? Because Mrs. Beadle at first is like, oh, you just didn't do well enough. And then she's like visiting Charles and saying she's just not pulling her weight. And then she's talking to Carolyn and basically insinuating that, Mary's tapped out. This is as far as she's intellectually going.
Well, she literally says maybe we should keep her back a year. But at the beginning, she keeps saying to Mary, like, there's still more time in the semester. You can do better.
You can turn this
You
around.
can bring it up. Yeah. But yeah.
It goes from you can turn this boat around to, well, maybe she's just dumb. But
what was interesting about this was that there was a time when she went out to ask Laura a question or something, and she comes back in, and Mary is up by the board writing notes.
Yeah.
Because she couldn't get it all written in.
Okay.
And it never occurs to Miss Beadle to ask her.
A person who wears glasses.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's my problem with this episode. Okay. So this episode actually kind of, it anticipates that you've read the books, that you know what is going to happen to Mary Ingalls in future episodes. Because they treat this as a very dire thing. There's suspenseful music whenever she can't, quite make something out. They treat it as like this, oh my God, she has to wear glasses moment. When in fact, she's a kid and she needs some glasses. It's not that big of a deal.
But financially, I remember how big of a deal it was when we were kids.
Financially for the family, it is. And it was for my family when I was little. But the idea of having glasses was not, oh my God, revolutionary or anything like that, even in the 1800s. So I think it's relying on you having read the books and knowing what is going to happen to Mary in later episodes. that they're
which
trying to
at
blow
the
this.
time that this was out, Little House was one of the most popular series
Yeah.
amongst
So
the 1970s. I mean, it was kind of dual, but
yeah.
yeah. So,
So they make it more dire than it actually is in this episode. Because
yes.
she just goes to have it, and Mrs. Beadle would have recognized this from a mile off.
But
One
the
of her
interesting thing was like, so the first night after we hear about how the grades didn't go well, we see Mary in Laura's side of the bed reading a book, her face really close to the lamp,
Mhm.
and Laura saying, "It's your side of the bed's uncomfortable." And
Yes.
so finally Mary's like, "Forget it, can't read anyway." And they switch back, and then Laura realizes, "Hey, it's the whole bed that's just uncomfortable, right?" And then, but Pa again with his homespun wisdom says it's not about the grade you get, it's about the fact that you're learning stuff and
Yes.
everything like that. But he continues to stare at the report card after she goes to bed as if he's magically going to figure out the problem.
Yeah.
So then Mary,
But then he does
then,
magically figure out
yeah,
the
but so
problem.
then Laura tries to make Mary feel better again because Mary's sitting there in the classroom and she's not even
That's
able
the
to
other
answer
thing.
questions.
Yeah.
And Miss Beadle still hasn't figured it out. And then we see Mary that night reading, and she's fallen asleep at the desk next to a lit lamp
Yeah.
again. Have
Again.
we learned nothing from burning down
No.
the barn
She's just gonna
because of
burn down
this?
the house at some point. Well,
Yeah.
I should
And
I I,
so,
I should say, yeah, that actually almost happens. So,
yeah. And
but
then the third time she's downstairs and Pa comes out because Pa always figures it out. Pa knows best, right? That's going to be one. I got to add that to the
Pa
bingo
knows
card.
best. Oh my God,
Pa
we'll be
knows
checking
best.
that. You might as
He
well put
comes
that the
out.
middle square.
Yeah.
We
Pa
could we
comes
could
out.
do justice, replace justice for Jack with Pa knows best.
Yeah. Well, when Jack goes away, that's what we'll have to do. But anyway, um, Pa knows best, and he comes out and he says, "Well, I'm not as good at schooling as your ma is." But and of
And
course
I'm
Mary
gonna
has to
figure
say,
out your
"Dad, you're
problem in
just as
30
smart,
seconds.
just in different ways." And so then he's sitting there and he tells her somehow he figures out that she has her numbers reversed,
Yeah, so
and
I'm like, oh,
that's
not
what's
only is she
wrong.
nearsighted, not only is she nearsighted, she's
Now
dyslexic.
she's dyslexic.
Yeah.
And then she comes over and she says, "Now I see it." And he says, "Go back to your
Clicking
chair
over
and tell
there.
me if you see it." And then he writes numbers on there, and that's when we find out she can't see. So
And
Pa has figured it out.
I hate this. They do this in just about every movie or television show when it comes to people who can't see. Um, Without their glasses, they'll do this focus in and out.
Point of view.
It's not like that. We just can't see.
Yeah.
Okay, there's no focusing in and out. I'm a person who has worn glasses since she was 5 years old. These glasses are over top of contact lenses. So yeah, I'm very familiar with this.
Yes. Well, and I'm wearing trifocals. I can't
Yeah.
wear
So
contacts because my eyes are that far gone. But
our
yeah.
eyes don't work
But now
that
I
great.
will say this. So she goes to so they end up having to go to Mankato, which is another thing I'm laughing about because this whole thing about the competition coming up, the way it's
She's
first
got
talked
three
about, you
days to
think
go to
it's in a couple
Mankato.
days, but it's 3 days to go to Mankato and back. It's a week usually to go to Mankato, right? Like
Yeah.
if we learned
And she
anything from
gets
when Mr.
glasses.
Edwards takes Johnny Johnson, it's 3 days there, 1 day to play, and 3 days back.
Right.
So she's gone for a week.
At least. And then they have to wait for her glasses to be made.
Well, he
Unless
seems to
it's,
make it
because
that day.
I don't know if they had like lens crafters there and they do it in an hour
Yeah,
during the
exactly.
1800s.
But so we see, and of course, William Claxton is the director this time. He loves to play with the camera with all the different, parts
The
of
different
the
optical. Yeah.
the optics equipment.
Incidentally, this eye doctor will return in a future episode.
Hey, that's my job to talk about the
Sorry.
guests. But anyway,
But
um,
he's not from Walnut Grove anyway, so he's not really a
yeah.
townsman. But he does come
So
back.
yeah, so then she gets the glasses. And now this is what I read the scene. Now, you're laughing, but I'm about to tell you this is a scene that I really relate to. Maybe you don't because you got your glasses at 5. I got my glasses when I was 12. And I got my glasses because my mom at first did not believe me when I told her I was having problems seeing. I had 2 brothers who had glasses. We had just adopted my little sister who also needed glasses. She thought it was me trying to get attention from my little sister. And I was like, no, I have problems hearing and I have problems seeing. And so she took me down to the eye doctor, and I mean she took me down to the local doctor. So I actually lived in one of those little Currier and Ives town where the pediatrician in town lived off of the commons of the town. And they took me in there. They did a quick eye exam and they said, yeah, you should probably take her. And so then I went to the actual eye doctor and found out that I did have bad eyesight. And they made my glasses and I got to wear them home. When they came in, and I literally remember being in the car and saying, Mom, this is so weird. I can see every leaf on the tree because before it was just like a lollipop of green with the brown stick, but I could actually see it. And I'm like, I could see the individual blades of grass. I could see the actual birds while we're driving rather than it being up close. And that's when I can see them. And my mom said, okay, you're just making me feel super, super bad that I didn't believe
And
you.
this is
But when she had that scene about I could see all the birds, I could see the trees, that was me. So if that wasn't you, I just want you to
it,
know
it
that
wasn't
part
me,
was real.
but it made me so frustrated because I'm like, after an episode that we had previously, The Richest Man in Walnut Grove, where, oh my God, this family's just so wonderful and they just work together and they talk together and they're so together. We have an episode where one of the daughters can't even tell her parents, hey, I'm having trouble seeing. Uh,
Yeah.
um, where this is their bookish daughter. Because Laura right now is not being portrayed as bookish at all. She's the tomboy. Mary is the learned one. She's the bookish one. She's the one who's constantly reading. She would have gone to her mother at the very least and said, hey, it's getting harder to see the words.
Yeah. And I agree
And
with
her
that.
mother's a teacher. And
And
Mrs. Beadle is
historically,
shown to
this
be
is not how she loses her eyesight. She
no.
loses her eyesight from having a fever,
Well,
not
she
because,
had, yeah, we don't actually get to see her have scarlet fever on the show.
or
They
in the
mention
books.
or in the books.
But
That is 2 years of her life that Ingalls didn't write about in the books. Um,
but that's how she got it. She got it through scarlet
yeah,
fever, not through a slow macular
it wasn't like,
degeneration of
yeah,
her
she's
eyes.
just nearsighted. She's just nearsighted. And I think as an avid reader, she would have gone at least to her mother or to her teacher who wears glasses and says, hey, I'm having some problems.
Yeah.
And they would have immediately said, get your eyes checked.
Yeah.
But anyway, she has glasses and she's very happy with them until she goes to school the next day.
And Nellie and Willie come out, and the first thing they say is four
Four eyes.
eyes.
They're just calling her Four Eyes. And I have never understood this insult. I mean, I understand the concept. We've got eyes over our eyes. But why is that an insult? I see
Well,
better than you,
yeah, but the insult comes where she's going to be an old maid, just like Miss Beadle,
Mrs.
because she has
Beadle. Yeah.
glasses, just like Miss Beadle. And so that becomes the thing that she's not going to get, because let's go back a little in the episode. When she's not doing well, what does Ma think is the problem?
It's a boy.
It's a boy. A
It's a
boy has
boy.
distracted her.
Yeah.
And Miss Beadle said, I thought that too, but no, that's not it.
Yeah.
Which is a very unwoke moment. It's not always
Yeah.
about the boys.
It's
Thank
not
you
always
very
about the boy.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is just This episode just irked me with nobody talking to anybody else about any sort of problem until it's like this dire consequence thing. But yeah, then the whole Four Eyes thing bugged me because the entire class gets in on this. And I'm like, the hell?
Yeah. And then, like, okay, so this happens and she does really well. She's very excited. She
Yeah.
stands up. She's able to answer the questions. And then somebody, and it's not Nellie or Willie, because we know that they're sitting across from the room, comes up behind and puts a note in this little, suddenly there's this little pocket by their desk, which
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
remember
they
that
have like a
pocket
little
ever being there before.
snack tray.
And we know that tablet paper is very precious. So, because the Ingalls aren't the only ones
these
who
are
do
poor
poorly.
farmers that can't seem to
Yeah.
figure out farming.
And somebody wasted to write Four Eyes in big letters.
Yeah.
I was like, be creative. Anyway,
And of course, this just throws Mary into depression, and she throws her glasses into a
but
log.
where does Willie get these half the bottoms of the bottles?
I don't
Like,
know.
the effort he would have had to go to cut that off so that it doesn't cut his face.
And he's doing that, like, do they have like a glassworking shop off this?
Like, where is this a thing? Anyway, okay. So she goes
I
home.
don't know.
She's
Found him at
crying.
the Mercantile.
She runs up the hill, down the hill. You can check that off.
Yeah.
She finds this bog, and then she carefully puts her glasses inside the log.
Keep in mind,
This doesn't
could've
make
just
sense to me. She could have just
wrapped
not
them.
worn them in front of people. She could have done what Miss Beadle does and only put it on when she needs to see the
read.
boar.
Yeah. I mean, the doctor does say for the first month, wear them continuously until your eye muscles get used to them, and then just wear them for schoolwork and reading, which is eventually what we see Mary doing most of the time. It's just glasses when she's doing her homework or reading. So you can put up with the taunts for she seems like a smart kid. I don't understand why this is affecting her so ridiculously.
Yeah.
But
then
anyway, it's all made better by a cute guy.
Well, okay, let's talk about that. Another unwoke moment. So she gets very frustrated that she and her sister are playing seesaw. Willie and Nellie are overdoing something else. Oh, Nellie is being pushed in a swing by Sissy Moore, who has 20 episodes listed as tall girl.
Yes.
She has two, one where she's Sissy and one where she's Sarah, because somebody refers to her by that name. The rest of the time she is just tall girl, and her job is to push Nellie in the swing every once in a while. Okay, so Nellie's having this person push her in the swing. Willie's doing what Willie does, and they're making fun of Mary. And Laura says she's gonna punch him in the nose, the whole 9 yards. And then Mary just gets upset. She's like, I'm done playing. And she jumps off the seesaw and bangs Laura down. Because Laura's been nothing but super supportive and nice. Thank you,
she has
Mary.
like tried to smooth things over with Pa, saying, if somebody has bad grades just once, maybe they're just having a rough time of it. Trying to smooth things over for Mary's report card.
She goes
trying
first,
to give Mary
the whole 9 yards. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then she goes,
she just drops her on the ground.
Stomps off to the other side of the school, because that will get her away from Nellie and everybody.
School kids.
And she's lying there with her hands back. She's kind of just enjoying the sunshine, being sad. And this guy rolls up that we've never seen before.
In a very nice
never
horse and
see
buggy.
again, in a very nice horse and buggy with a bunch of daisies. Not an exotic flower, but anyway. And immediately starts calling her Blue Eyes and tells her how pretty she is.
Yeah.
And then he asks where Miss Beadle is, and she tells her inside the classroom, but he gives her a flower.
He asks where her school teacher is. Dude, you're right next to the school.
Right.
Where do you think she is?
So then she decides that her Daisy needs water. So she goes into the school, finds Miss Beadle making out with this guy, who then turns around and says, well, it's a good thing that I met Miss Beadle first, or else I'd be asking you out, the 11-year-old girl.
Ew.
Ew. But anyway,
Ew.
and it's all about, and he says, don't keep anybody after school because I want to take you on a nice dinner date, which again, Nellie's kitchen didn't exist back then. So where he
Yeah,
was going
I
to take
guess
her
he's
for
driving her to
dinner.
Mankato and they're going to have a 7-day dinner date.
Exactly. But anyway,
because there's
but
no
this,
restaurant in Walnut Creek.
but she's like, that's your boyfriend? That's your beau? And because it's her beau, suddenly the log where she hid her glasses is only 5 minutes away. And she runs and get it.
She can run
And she
there,
comes back and takes the competition and wins.
wins it. She wins that damn thing because all she needed. Okay, so first off, um, at this point, Miss Beadle knows that Mary needs glasses because she's already kids are calling her Voorhees. She's
Yeah.
seen Mary in glasses. Why would she not allow and Mary, of course, tells her parents and everybody that she's lost her glasses, and that's why she's not going to take the history exam and stuff. Would you not make accommodations because your student is just having trouble seeing?
Yeah.
Would you not say, well, you can get up and get closer to the chalkboard to read
Yep.
what's written there?
But
There's no, I
yeah.
mean, it doesn't make her stupid or because she can't see.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that she is, she knows less because she can't see. This doesn't paint Miss Beadle as a
Well,
very good
and
teacher.
the other thing too is if she knew that her Mary didn't have her glasses on, she could have just said, okay, the next one, Mary, is 1607. What
Yeah,
happened then?
when is this? Give them the date. I mean, you could have Mary can't be the only child in that classroom that has eye trouble. There's too many. There's at least 30 kids in that classroom. She cannot be the only person, the only child in there that has some issue seeing that chalkboard. And she's writing in like 6-point font. It's tiny. She must be sharpening her dang chalk at the chalkboard to get the little tiny letters. I'm like, okay, at this point, I mean, even with my glasses,
Well,
I'd have to get up and
and they
get
talk
closer
about
to the
that there's a
chalkboard.
lack of additional school books, so that
Yeah,
whenever there's a test, she has to write the whole thing out on the board.
right.
So, which also made me wonder, well, if Mary missed that history test because she faked that she was sick that one day because she knew she hadn't gotten to study, which we'll talk about that in a second more. So she just can't make it up. She just
Yeah,
can't make it up because her teacher's not going to sit there and rewrite out the whole test. She
the
would have had to
entire
do it
test.
orally or something like that.
I
But
mean,
here's
it
the
is.
other thing. If it was that she was nearsighted, right? I'm gonna sneeze. I'm sorry. If it was, thank you, listening audience. So sorry about that. If she knew that she was nearsighted, then why was it so hard for her to see even when she was in bed?
That's the other thing.
But I mean, I guess she did walk up to Pa, and maybe that's why she was bent over her books, and that's why she fell asleep
Yeah,
from the
when
carbon
you're,
dioxide
yeah, she was close to the
poisoning.
book,
Yeah,
but it's not. They were trying to also make it seem like it was too dim for her because he moves the lamp closer.
closer.
But that's later on. She's not. Things aren't dim here. It's just blurry.
Yeah,
But yeah, the whole writing the test on I understand, and I think it's probably a good lesson for people in the 70s and even now to realize what teachers went through in the 1800s, because you wouldn't have books for every child. And in a school like this, you wouldn't even have paper.
yeah,
So she would have to write the tests out on the chalkboard. But Mary can't be the only child in that classroom that has to get up and get closer to that chalkboard to see the words.
right.
And it just seemed ridiculous that, well, you can't see. I guess you're dumb. I'm going to
Yep.
fail you
Yeah, you who've been the academic genius the whole way along.
the whole way. And my favorite student, well, I guess, you can't see the words.
Yeah.
Sucks to be you. But
So,
all's well because Miss Beadle, a conventionally attractive woman who would have no problem pulling a boyfriend in any generation. Charlotte Stewart's a very pretty woman.
Yeah.
Has a boyfriend and that makes glasses fine.
Yeah. So definitely an
Yes,
unwoke moment.
she
Unwoke
has a
moment.
pervy boyfriend that hits on 11-year-olds,
Yeah. And that
and
makes
that
it all
makes
better.
glasses
Never to
fine.
be seen from again. Never
Never
to
to be
be
seen.
seen from again.
Yeah, as a matter of fact,
Okay.
yeah, we never hear about her beau again because she's about to have another one
Yeah.
in a few
So
episodes.
let's talk about this. So you talked about Dr. Burke. This is as was spoiled already. I'm just kidding, Kara. Uh, he does appear one more time in this season, towards the end of the season. He's played by Ford Rainey. Ford Rainey, in his while he was trying to make it as an actor, took a lot of odd jobs. Sounds a little bit like Paul Charles over there.
Hmm.
He was a logger. He was a carpenter. He actually knew how to fence. And as a result, that got him a lot of jobs. Unlike a lot of our other actors, where they would have onesie twosies episodes in different series, he actually has a bunch of credits where he's in episodes like 9 episodes, 12 episodes, 24 episodes. So he was definitely a character actor, was never like a leading star. But I think one of the most significant for people that are our generation is he actually was in 12 episodes as the exact same character, 9 of them in The Bionic Woman and 3 of them in $6 Million Man. So he was played Jim Elgin and he kind of carried that over. And his credits also included Gunsmoke and Bonanza, 3 episodes of Gunsmoke, 9 episodes of Bonanza, not all the same character, all different characters. He had a total of 194 credits before he passed away. Unlike Brian Richards, who plays the pervy John Stacy, guess how many credits Brian Richards had?
I'm gonna say 1 because he's not very good here.
He has 2, and they're 20 years apart. So, and there's
Okay.
nothing else about him on IMDb. So, yeah.
Okay. Well,
And guess what? Neither one of those credits were Bonanza or Gunsmoke. So it was just Little House on the Prairie and then some French film, and that was it. So,
how very odd.
okay, so I had bingo card 29. I did have someone gets hurt. Because first of all, who was it that got hurt? Well, she got hurt. She ended up being sick in bed that one day. And then
Yeah, are you counting her just dumping Laura on the ground with the seesaw? Because that had
yeah,
to
there was
hurt.
that as well. But yeah, I felt like that was it. Um, Ma and Pa were very affectionate, and there were several times where she said, "Oh, Charles," when she was
Yeah.
talking in bed with him. Again, he never took his shirt off. Sorry, folks.
Yeah.
But we did have a guest on Gunsmoke. She does say, "Oh, Charles," very distinctly. Um, John Stacy comes once and we never see him again. So the town person did disappear. The 2024 unwoke moments, we've gone through those.
Yep.
Justice for Jack. Even though Harriet talks a little bit about, you know, how
About
well
how much smarter
Nellie does,
Nellie is.
she really doesn't commit a crime. She's just
No, this
being
is just boast. This is
Harriet.
just boasting about
So,
her kids, which she will do forever and always. So,
and
I
she
mean,
should. I mean,
yeah.
not the way she does it. Maybe her ideals are a little askew, but brag about your kids. That's
I
fine.
mean, they make a big deal about the fact that they pay Nellie and Willie for their Nellie
That's
and
right.
Willie Nellie and
Nellie
Willie
and Willie get
for their
paid for their
grades.
grades.
Yeah.
So that's where the 1970s woke moment kind of came in, was the
Yeah.
fact that you shouldn't be paid for your grades. You should want to learn. That should be its own reward,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And, don't call kids four eyes. The running up and down the hill, we see that multiple times. When I did have a moment where I was laughing hysterically, and that's when we see Laura. First of all, there's a little bit of a log sticking out, and she makes this great dramatic thing about having to step over it to go down the hill to the little pond in front of their house to get the water. And then she, pushes the pail through the water and fills it up. And then, it's this whole big chore that she's doing. And then she sees the wagon coming back. She dumps the pail all over, goes running up this little hill. And it's all because, now remember, Mankato, so they've been gone a week. And all she says is, Pa, you're back. Ma, Pa's back. Nothing about Mary. They do not mention Mary at all until Ma says, how lovely your glasses look. But Laura never says, Pa, Mary, Mary. No, she says Pa the whole time, which
the whole time. It's just Pa. It's just Pa.
So that's running up and down the hill. Plus Mary runs up and down the hill about when they make fun of her with the glasses. She does become Frozen Mary when she gets asked to read the board. She doesn't say, I can't see it or anything. She just stands there.
A goofy grin on her face.
And Laura does get in trouble. She gets in trouble for a couple of different things in that episode. But this is also the first time we see a little kid raise their hand in the class, and they realize he needs to go to the outhouse. So Miss Beadle says he can go to the outhouse. So that's one of the first, kid needs to go to the outhouse. I thought for sure with all that Willie did,
he would be in the corner.
He would be in the corner, but not this time because and I forgot to mention it last time too, but when Nellie got punched in the nose for something she said about, them being poor, Willie immediately retracted what he said because he was afraid Laura was going to hit him next. But Ma didn't cry. There was no popcorn in bed. There was no lemon verbena after an episode that had 47 mentions of lemon verbena. Pa never got shirtless. Pa never cried. There was no Old Man Tucker. There was no O'Nell's. None of that stuff.
Yeah.
So
it was a pretty sparse. I had 11. It was a card 11. No bingo. It was a pretty sparse episode for me. I forgot to mention last episode where Laura sits up in bed and bites her toenails.
Oh, I didn't. I must have been writing in my notebook when that happened.
Thanks for letting me see that now in my mind.
Grove.
And I'm like, these girls are doing some pretty questionable stuff in front of camera.
Well, she bites her toenails, but also Mary bites the thread off when she's sewing. She doesn't use scissors.
Spitting on those people's garments, but hey, she sews fast, so she didn't have any problem seeing that episode. Look, okay.
Well, we all know what's going to happen to Mary. But that could be a dad's fault because she had to work all those extra hours, so she was really straining her eyes.
And then she had to catch up in school because, she was behind. So now Mary has glasses, and we all know that she has some issues with her eyes. And we know that, Miss Beadle could get some when she wants some.
Yep.
So... She can do better than the town folk that are currently in Walnut Grove. That's for darn sure. Okay. Well, join us next episode when Walnut Grove gets a bank. They don't have a restaurant, but they're going to get a bank.
Only the best for Walnut Grove.
Yes, absolutely. So, we'll have an interesting talk next time. For that episode. Until then, you can find us on www.2wokebonnets.com.
We spell out the word too because we're bougie like that.
That's right. Spell it all out. TWOWOKEBONNETS.com. 2wokebonnets@gmail.com if you want to shoot us an email. We can send you a sticker if you want, and we're working on some stuff for the future. So keep listening. Keep listening. It'll be interesting.
Just keep listening. Next time. If you don't like what you say, tell us what we should say different.
Yeah. Drop us a line. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. I mean, don't do that.
Yeah.
Constructive criticism, people.
Man. Yeah. Do it.
Constructive criticism. Keep it constructive on the prairie.
Yes.
Until next time.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Two Woke Bonnets. To find out more and to download your bingo card, visit twowokebonnets.com. And Don't forget to like and subscribe wherever fine video and audio podcasts are played.